So I guess this is my journey to be talking about cartoons. I was going to do a rant on how cartoons these days suck, and the reason I don't watch TV anymore is because that fucking god-awful Teen Titans Go show that comes on. Ugh, that show just gives me the goosebumps. I honestly don't like it because I used to watch the old Teen Titans, the classic one, the one when I was a kid, along with Billy and Mandy, and my gym partner is a monkey, and Camp Lazlo, codename Kids Next Door. You name it all. I used to watch those things way back in the day. And now we have to deal with most of the stuff that's out now. I mean, don't get me wrong, We Are Bears is a pretty good show. Clarence is okay, but I don't really find anything funny about it. I haven't really watched Adventure Time yet, but I'll get into talking about that in a second. But cartoons these days just don't cut it. And I was going to make a video about it, but most of the time I'm just way too busy and I need to talk about other topics, so I don't really get down to it. But I will talk about something about a scam tomorrow, which is about Jay Pevolina, and I'll get into detail in the next video, but I'm going to talk about that, and I'll talk about something else. I don't remember what I was going to talk about besides that. Anyways, I'll get to it later. So I've been watching this show called Gravity Falls because I heard it has ended recently, and since it has ended, that gave me an opportunity to catch up with the show because I'll watch all the fully episodes. Now, I go to a place called Watch Cartoons Online Free because the other show, WatchCartoons.tv, has stopped working. And well, this show was really amazing, to be honest. The first 4 episodes are dull, and it's forced to. You can't really expect anything that excited to happen because you had to get to know the characters. And unfortunately for Gravity Falls, this is one of those shows where you have to watch every episode because if you miss one, it continues from the next plot, but still carries on the previous plot, and you pretty much won't know what happens before if you skip a few episodes, which is why I'm afraid to actually watch a cartoon these days without actually watching the episode 1 to the current state. Because most of the time, if I skip an episode on a show, it's going to be one of those you have to watch every episode to get every character and to get the previous plot, or else the next 5 episodes you're going to basically have one of the characters tell you that this plot happened before, and you basically won't understand where they're coming from because you skipped those 5 episodes or you maybe missed them or whatever. So because of that, I like to make sure I catch up on shows. And for shows like Adventure Time and Steven's Universe, which I heard has very overwhelmingly positive feedback, I have to watch each episode because if I don't, I won't know what they're talking about. So in this case, this is what I'm doing with Gravity Falls, and I will continue to do it with Adventure Time and Steven's Universe. I watched 3 episodes of Steven's Universe to see what it was like, and I was getting a little bit into it. And Adventure Time, I couldn't really get into it that much. There was no comedy value. It was just too kiddie-ish. I don't know how to explain it. It was just too playful, can you say. It didn't really have that much of a comedy standpoint. So I can't really watch it. So let's get started on Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls starts out with 4 main characters. You have Mr. Krabs, I mean Grunkle Stan. You have Kyle, I mean Wendy. You have Billy, wait, what's that dude's name that works at the Grub or something? Who cares? And then you have Flapjack, Maple. And then you have, I guess, Dipper. Yes, because Dipper doesn't really reflect off of anyone else's personality that I know of. So, let's just start off by saying that this show's humor is amazing. I have laughed at this show's humor way more than I've laughed at all the Family Guy episodes I watched combined. In just 17 episodes. I've watched, Season 1. I haven't watched Season 2 yet, so keep that in mind. But Season 1, I watched 17 episodes. And I've laughed hysterically at some of the jokes. I don't want to spoil it for people that haven't watched the show before, but you gotta watch it. Just search Gravity Fall episodes and keep watching at least till episode 12, and you'll pretty much get the idea. Again, if you haven't really watched the full episode from 1 to whatever, you're not going to get the whole idea. Characters are going to be skipped and you won't know who they are, so I recommend watching from the beginning to the end. But like I said before, this show has amazing humor, and it just proves that you don't really need sexual innuendos to actually get a laugh. This show, I don't know how to explain the jokes without spoiling it, but they are just really funny. For example, Grunkle Stan had, what's his name? Grunkle Stan had Dipper waiting at the booth with his sort of girlfriend, Wendy. I'll get to that later, why I don't like that idea, but Dipper and Wendy were at the booth, and Grunkle Stan wanted Dipper the fucking, what was it? He was watching the booth. I'm trying to remember this. And Wendy wasn't there because Wendy wanted to go inside and party. So Wendy basically ditched Dipper. Oh, I would have never forgave her for that if I was in Dipper's position. But that's what she did. She ditched Dipper, and Dipper had to watch the stand by himself. So Dipper was going to go take off. And one of the jokes were that Grunkle Stan caught him. And Grunkle Stan said, "You got to be waiting here. These people aren't going to rip each other off," or something like that. They aren't going to rip themselves off. Yeah, that's what it was. He said, "These people aren't going to rip themselves off." And then one of the people in the crowd said, "Yeah." It's just stuff like that is what makes it funny. And almost each episode has something hysterically funny in it. So whoever the writers are, they definitely know how to have comedy gold. And that's one of the key points of why I like this show, is because it has comedy, and it's also attached with story and plot point. And I could see why this show has a lot of Emmys won and everybody likes it, because I like it. It's almost like the bastard child of Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, because Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was almost like that. Now, I understand people are going to say that it's not like it completely because you have this and that, but it sort of is with the mysteries and stuff. And I'm not saying Mabel is supposed to be Billy. Not far from it. Mabel's not that stupid. She's just really silly. I think that the what's his name? He's like a staff or something. He's like a big dude. He is more like a Billy. And Grunkle Stan has to be one of my favorite characters, because just the way he is just played out really amazing. The way his character is, it's so selfish and money hungry, and he does it in a funny way. Most characters that are supposed to be portrayed as him are doing it in a hateful way, to where you just see that person and you're like, God, I fucking hate this character. But it's not like that for Grunkle Stan, the way it's written for him. I don't have anything against him, and I don't hate him. When I see how he acts, it makes me laugh hysterically. A lot of stuff in this show makes me laugh, and to be honest, it's a real big accomplishment, because I don't find stuff that funny these days. I've seen it all, and my humor is really hard to get to. So having this show make me laugh is really incredible, because only thing that can actually make me laugh besides Gravity Falls, which barely has any sexual humor or innuendos, is Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead is one of the shows that can make me laugh without a sweat. Without breaking a sweat, that's one of the shows that can make me laugh. And Gravity Falls is just another one. I would argue South Park is, but not to the late seasons. Like way back in season 4 and down, those were the ones that made me laugh. But everything above that just sort of dried up really quickly. But anyways, yeah. On to one of the issues I have with this show, which is the love interest. You see, to me, Wendy should have just been a friend of Dipper and Mabel, because when I first seen the show, I sort of had a warm moment for, Wendy being with the two kids, because it sort of reminded me of my relationship with my older sister. Yes, my older sister is a pathological liar, and she's selfish sometimes, but if there's one thing that my sister knows how to do, it's have a good time. Does any of you else's older sister, if you have one, give you a joint of weed, smoke it with you, and walk? No, I don't think any other older sister would do that. So I appreciate my older sister when she's not being, a liar. And I like to hang out with her. So when I seen that sort of thing with Wendy and Dipper and Maple in the beginning, I liked it because it reminded me of my older sister. And they had to sort of turn it into a love interest in the future episodes, which ruined it. Because, now Wendy and her so called boyfriend, what's his name? I don't know what his goddamn name is. I think it's Robbie. I can't really keep up with him because he's really uninteresting to me. He's more like a douchebag. I don't see why anyone would like him besides being goth. I mean, even I'm goth, but that doesn't mean goths have to like other goths. It's just not how it naturally works. But anyways, basically, and here's the thing too. This show does sort of have a thing to where it's not afraid to show it can pass the length, like it can pass the line. There was one episode that involved bestiality or zoophilia, if you call it, and it was one where a guy married a woodpecker. So it's not afraid to touch on certain subjects, not afraid at all, and it mentioned murder a few times, which on Cartoon Network and stuff like that, you were not allowed to get away with. You say murder and your show's canceled instantly. Canceled, my bad. I said cancer. That's not funny, but the way I messed that up is funny. But anyways, I'll talk about the subject thing later on in this video. Robbie is her age, and Dipper is around 12 or 13. So Wendy is 15, I believe, and Dipper is 13 or 12. That's a big age gap. And I honestly think that basically Wendy's going to say you're too young, and she's going to tell Dipper the truth, and Dipper's just going to have to accept that because honestly, that's the way it is. You think about it, what happens if Wendy hits 18? Once Wendy hits 18, she's not even allowed to have those type of thoughts or feelings with Dipper. So I'm afraid that's probably going to happen in the show, and Dipper's going to have to accept it. Chances are, in reality, Dipper and Scotty, or Robbie, or whatever the hell his name is, they're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Because if they're the same age and Dipper's not, then chances are Dipper is not going to be the legal age. And because Wendy and Robbie are the legal age, they're going to be able to date, and basically Dipper's not. So that's what I sort of see happening in the future. But that's one of the other reasons why I did not want them to be in a sort of love relationship. When you put stuff like that, at least in my opinion, in a show, it sort of makes it cringy. And I know about cringiness because I used to watch Hey Arnold, and when Helga had a love thing for Arnold, it made me cringe so badly because I hated it. It made me want to fast forward the show because I didn't want anything of Helga doing that sort of, oh, Arnold, I love you, and then having that lock. The only thing that was actually funny about that was when she punched Brainy in the face, or whatever his name was. But other than that, it was cringy. When stuff like this happens, it sort of gets cringy when the character tries to sneak and do stuff just because they're in love. Just tell someone you're in love. Don't hide it. I never done that before unless I thought they were going to reject me. If you think someone's going to reject you, then yeah, keep your feelings to yourself because you don't want to be crushed. But if chances are you know that they're going to like you, then stop hiding it and stop holding it. If you're friends, maybe they'll do it, maybe they won't. But I just don't like that sort of thing in these types of shows. So that's one negative I have to really give this show. But it's not really that much of a negative. It's just personally something I just wish didn't happen. I just wish that Wendy could have been more of a older sister type to Maple and Dipper. I wish that she was like a cool figure, like a stand-up figure or something that they could look up to, like a friend. But the show's trying to put this into something deeper than that. But other than that, like I said before, they do hit boundaries. Like I said before, they mentioned bestiality. The guy married a woodpecker, and he said it's legal now. Very legal. He literally said that in the show. There's some things they say in the show that I cannot believe got past the guidelines or whatever you call it. Because there's sort of things that you have to pass. It's like a board you have to pass, and if you don't do that, your show has to edit something out because the studios watch it and make sure there's something that's passable for TV. Because there's only certain things you can pass if it's too mature enough or too violent. And I'm surprised they passed these jokes in there. Some of them are really intense jokes, And it made me pause for a second, like, how did this stuff make it in a kid's cartoon? Because it is a kid's cartoon. But I'm going to try to keep this under, fuck it. I'll just record how much time it is. It's past 15 minutes, but I could just add additional footage. Anyways, like I said, that's one of the boundaries they take. The show is interesting when it comes to characters, plot-wise, and the jokes. Oh my god, the jokes had me, sort of... How do I explain it? Let's just say that every time there was a very funny joke... I'm thinking of the joke now where Grunkle Stan lost the bet or whatever it was called. There was an episode I just watched where Grunkle Stan lost all his money because there was a word he had to say when he wants something, like say something politely when you want it, and the word was please, but he couldn't say that, so he lost billions of dollars from the trivia game. And there was another one where Maple put these golden teeth inside his mouth, so he had to tell the truth. And he called a police station and told them about something about fraud or something like that. I don't remember, but just the way the stuff plays out, you gotta watch it, because I swear I yelped like a little girl when I laughed, just the way it sounded, because it made me bust out laughing really, really badly to where my stomach hurt, because the show has really good writing in it. And I cannot stress that enough in this video. That you just watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But give it a shot. For real, just give it a shot, because it is an amazing show, and it at least gives 7 episodes a try. It's worth a 7 try episode. As for Adventure Time and Steven's Universe and We Are Bears, I'll have to sort of catch up on those after Gravity Falls. So far, I like the show Gravity Falls, and I like where it's heading. It makes me addicted to watch each episode online and catch up to it since it's ended. But I really hope that they sort of crush this Wendy loves Dipper thing, because to me, it's not really working out. I wish they could just become friends, and Dipper and Maple could actually just look up to them as, model figures or something like that, hero figures, whatever you call it. But that's all I gotta say. Anyways, I'm out.